I want my scalps Bondi first. Respectfully, she kind of bad. Oh my God, chatter. Jail. Jail for you, dude. Oh my God. Carney making moves. Middle powers unite. Yeah, I saw that. It's pretty funny. Dude, you think Marx Carney saw the UBC speech and was like, it's time? Marx Carney saw the UBC speech and was like, that's right, Hasan. I will be the Marxist-Leninist that you wanted. I will organize the middle powers against America. Lol, no, I'm fucking joking, dude. I don't think the Oxford-educated central banker is in any way, shape, or form invested in destroying the neoliberal hegemony. I think he's just looking at what's going on. I think he is looking at what's going on right now and realizing that Canada is going to get fucking cooked because Europe is getting cooked. That's what's so funny about all of these disgusting European politicians and leaders standing up and giving a standing ovation to Margot Rubio's idiotic speech about how, like, oh, we're going to fucking build Western supremacy. Like, we're going to be way more aggressive and dominating everywhere. Like, this is a new frontier, all this shit. Like when the European dumbasses were clapping for that, like a bunch of fucking seals, what they didn't realize is that they're cooked. They're destroyed. Okay? They are absolutely destroyed in the process. And yes, by the way, shouts out to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump single-handedly got an Oxford-educated economist elected as Prime Minister of Canada at just the perfect time for him to crest the tsunami of anti-American sentiment. Probably the funniest, stupidest own goal in international geopolitical history. Just genuinely no reason for it. Dropped an orbital nuke on a surefire sycophant conservative victory just so he could make a bunch of 51st state memes. Literally. Shutdown raises travel concerns. We're going to fucking obviously take a look at that as well, because this is the only Department of Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security is shut down, but it's fake. It's not a real shutdown. It doesn't actually compromise ICE's activities even a little bit, unfortunately. And the only thing it will compromise, once again, is domestic travel for the average American. Isn't that wonderful? Let's take a look.
Federal government shutdown taking effect over the weekend after lawmakers failed to reach a deal to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Now, if the shutdown goes on, it could impact your upcoming spring break air travel. Transportation correspondent Gio Benitez is here now with more. Hey, Gio, good morning.
Hey, Mary, guys, good morning. Yeah, the biggest concern right now is for spring break, because that's when TSA workers will start to go without pay if the shutdown continues. So we all remember that last shutdown all too well. It was just a few months ago, lasted 43 days. TSA workers are deemed essential, so they have to work without pay before getting back pay. But many TSA workers called out sick, and that's the concern here. TSA workers got paid this past week. They'll get another check in 2 weeks, and then it would be another 2 weeks after that when they would get their first zero check. So that puts us right up against peak spring break travel.
So many TSA people are HasanAbi has too. Like, Shout out to TSA. I used to talk a lot of shit. I don't anymore, because y'all motherfuckers are all HasanAbi heads. It's crazy. I don't even know why. But yeah, get prepared, chat. Here comes the Soundboard spammer. Okay, bro. Fucking calm down, all right? Every now and then there's going to be a little bit of fun, okay? We're going to have a little bit of fun.
Air traffic controllers, they're not affected by this, but airlines could still delay flights if they're waiting on too many passengers to clear security. The acting TSA administrator says that these workers are just recovering from the last shutdown and, quote, we cannot put them through another such experience. It would be unconscionable. They're calling on Congress, of course, to act now. So you don't need to change anything about your travels just yet, but if workers do start calling out sick, well, that's when you want to start getting to the airport very, very early.
Yeah, you hope they can figure this out, because it isn't
Yeah,
fair to have them.
We can't
Get fucking ready. Get fucking ready for travel. Get ready for any domestic travel coming up. If you thought this Department of Homeland Security setback was going to actually stop ICE activities, you thought wrong. The only thing that it's actually going to cook is domestic travel once again.
Turning now to Capitol Hill this morning, no deal is in sight to end the partial government shutdown. Congress is on recess after failing to approve more funding for the Department of Homeland Security. The parties are fighting over immigration enforcement. Willie James Inman is in West Palm Beach traveling with the president. Willie James, good morning.
Eva, good morning to you. That partial government shutdown that took effect over the weekend impacts more than 260,000 government employees. And that means some, like TSA officers, may be forced to work without a paycheck until President Trump and congressional Democrats strike a deal.
President Trump says he knows how to end the latest funding fight with Democrats.
I know what they want. I know what they can live with.
But the president and key Democratic leaders still won't say what they can live with.
We're willing to have a good faith conversation about everything, but fundamentally, we need change that is dramatic, that is bold, that is meaningful, and that is transformational.
Democrats are...
God, he's so fucking hot. He's so hot. I mean, come on, dude. He is so fucking hot. Can you blame me for this? I mean, what a sexual dynamo he is, dude. Hakeem Jeffries, you are the man. You are the GOAT, dude.
No.
Democrats are demanding changes after scenes like these in Minnesota, where immigration officers shot and killed Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
They need to be reined in. They need to stop the violence.
Democrats want immigration officers to unmask, wear body cameras, and get warrants to enter private property.
Some of the asks are just, I think they're unreasonable.
But Trump administration officials have not specified which changes are reasonable. And while TSA officers are now working without pay, immigration enforcement operations are not currently impacted. Meanwhile, new fallout from a racist image of the Obamas depicted as apes that appeared in a video Trump posted online and then deleted 10 days ago. Trump maintains he didn't make a mistake because he never saw the image of the Obamas. The White House blamed a staffer for posting the video. This weekend, former President Obama responded to the post.
The majority of the American people find this behavior deeply troubling. There doesn't seem to be any shame about this among people who used to feel like you had to have some sort of decorum.
And because Congress remains in recess all week, funding for the full federal government may not be in place by the time President Trump gives his annual State of the Union address next week on Tuesday, Vlad.
Former President Barack Obama breaking his silence after President Trump's blatantly racist post earlier this month depicting him and...
Did you hear Obama confirm aliens? I did, dude. I don't care. Okay. You know how I feel about this. I have talked about how the UAP stuff and all this like alien shit is, I think, being mass distributed to get the conspiracy cranks to pay attention to like not the real pedophilic elite that are conspiring to ruin your lives, but instead on like some other stuff. It's trying to hold people's attention. Also, he walked it back anyway. He came out and was like, oh, actually, what I meant is that there's definitely a likelihood that there's aliens. That's, it's very different. That's very different than like, saying I'm the president and I saw aliens in the files. Okay.
And the former First Lady Michelle Obama.
He just meant like logically speaking, he said what I say all the time about aliens, that it's like, I'm a believer that aliens do exist in the way that we understand it. Probably not. But the universe is infinite, and therefore there are, there is a infinite amount of opportunities for aliens to exist. Of course, there's going to be aliens. Of course, there's going to be life forms out there. It's just like, they're not. Universe is finite. Okay. Well, from where we're standing, it might as well be infinite.
Apes.
I think it's important to recognize that the majority of the American people find this behavior deeply troubling.
Obama over the weekend calling the Trump administration shameless, saying they don't respect the presidency.
There's this sort of clown show that's happening in social media and on television. And what is true is that there doesn't seem to be any shame about this among people who used to feel like you had to have some sort of decorum and a sense of propriety and respect for the office. Right? So that's been lost.
Obama's reaction coming more than a week after both Republicans and Democrats condemned that post. The White House initially defended it, calling it fake outrage. but the criticism only grew. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, the Senate's only black Republican, calling the president's post the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House. Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi writing, "This is totally unacceptable." The president later deleted the post 12 hours later. The administration later telling ABC News a White House staffer erroneously made the post. And then on Thursday, a week after that video was posted, President Trump telling reporters he had not disciplined the staffer. And despite lawmakers on both sides calling on the president to apologize, the president refusing.
No, I didn't make a mistake.
Let's take a look at another president, though. President Donald John Trump. Look at this. I got 4 numbers across for you on this screen here. They are...
Holy Toledo, ladies and gentlemen.
Bruh.
Donald Trump's approval ratings are in the dumpster. It's a dumpster fire. I'm Harry Emden.
Are all second-term lows for the given pollster. What are we talking about? AP New York, 26 points below water. NBC, 22 points below water. Yahoo YouGov, 20 points below water. Quinnipiac, 19 points below water. So we're ranging from negative 19 points all the way to negative 26 points. You know, Kate, there's this question that folks keep asking, you know, where is the floor for Donald Trump? And I'm not sure there is a floor, because if there is one, Donald Trump, at least in term number 2, has just fallen through it to another low level.
How does this compare with his first term, and how does this compare with Joe Biden?
Okay, so we look at these numbers right here. One of the things that Donald Trump had been arguing, his proponents have been arguing, oh, you know what, he's doing better than he was doing in term number 1. No longer is that the case. What are we talking about here? Okay, net approval rating at this point in the term. Look at this. 22 points below water on average when you average all the polls.
Please stop, bro. Jesus Christ, shut up. Gallup stopped measuring the COVID strat. I know. That is pretty fantastic, by the way. Gallup, after 88 years, has decided to no longer poll.
I see.
After 88 years, Gallup has decided to no longer poll the presidential approval ratings, which is crazy. And there's a reason for that, because, you know, dear leader, we are basically taking on all of the excesses of our ideological enemies. Straight up. People that we have, you know, things that countries that we have long considered to be enemies of the United States of America, and some of their excesses we have now adopted. Things that we suspect them of doing, we have started doing here in the United States of America. Straight up. Okay. Yes, it is an indication that the empire is collapsing. Peter Baker of the New York Times says, this is a huge loss for journalists and others who follow politics. Gallup has been the top source for presidential approval since FDR, and particularly valuable because of that historical context with apples to apples numbers that allow us to make comparisons and see patterns. After 88 years, Gallup has decided to hit the COVID strat. We will no longer calculate the presidential approval. We will no longer track the presidential approval, because if you don't track it, then it's fine. Everything is fine, actually, and the situation is better. It's the COVID strat. The only reason why the numbers are so high is because we're tracking them. We should stop tracking the COVID numbers, and then COVID will go away. Bye-bye.
From the last slide, that is actually lower. That is lower than he was at this point in term number 1, when he was 17 points below water. So he's doing 5 points worse, and he's doing way worse than Joe Biden was doing at this point in his term number 1, when he was 13 points below water. So the bottom line is this: Donald Trump is setting new records for himself in term number 2, setting new records for himself compared to where he was at this point in term number 1, and he's doing worse than Joe Biden, which is, of course, the comparison that Donald Trump does not want to be, because we all know what happened to Joe Biden. His party lost the House in term number 1, that midterm elections, and of course Joe Biden was not reelected to another term. At this point, the numbers are no bueno for the President of the United States.
What's driving this that you're seeing right now?
Okay, Kate. You know what? This is the segment. We have done it over and over and over again because he keeps setting new lows for himself. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about independence. We're talking about independence. When you lose the center of the electorate, you lose the American people. Trump's net approval rating among independents, you know, at this point, you go back term number 1, he was 17 points below water. Now, according to Quinnipiac, he is 27 points below water. I don't understand how this works out well for the President of the United States. When you are 27 points below water, underwater, with the center of the electorate, with independents, you lose, your party loses. You know, I've made the comparisons before, you know, oh, he's more underwater than Greg Louganis. I've made the comparisons with all those different divers. And the bottom line is this: you can continue to make those, but over time, when you keep making those same comparisons, they run a little bit old. But at this point, I don't really know who to even compare Donald Trump to, because he's just so low, and he's so low with the center of the electorate.
261 days to go. Yes, the midterms may seem far off, but they are starting to dominate the dynamics here in Washington and are fresh on President Trump's mind. As the GOP now confronts a daunting political environment, Trump is taking his pitch to the nation's battlegrounds, even before U.S. troops in North Carolina, where he urged them to vote Republican.
Biden, who is the worst president in the history of our country. 0 illegal aliens have been admitted into the United States, and that's done by the radical left. Michael, will you come here for a second, please? He's running for the Senate, and if he gets in, you're going to be taken care of. If he doesn't get in, we're going to be stripping the military like they always do, the Democrats. When I heard they were taking the name Fort Bragg off, I said, no, they're kidding.
Again, always immaterial nonsense, always aesthetics nonsense. How much longer will this nonsense work on the unwashed reactionary masses? Because for the time being, when he first came into office, everyone's like, hell yeah, we're winning. It's awesome. It's like we're winning together, right? Anti-woke is on top. Woke is dead. Let's go and, blame transgender people. Let's go ban transgenders from playing sports at the NCAA. But like, he got a sequence of those executive orders in action, and nothing actually changed for the better. So there's only so much you can do in terms of culture war issues, in terms of advancing the culture war agenda, until people realize, wait a minute, my pocketbook is still hurting. It's not helping. Like, groceries are still expensive. The electricity bill has skyrocketed. What the fuck are we doing this for? I'm not winning in this process. Oh, you named the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America? I don't give a fuck, dude. And even in the absence of the Democratic Party presenting said alternative loudly and proudly, engaging in politics from the perspective of class and saying, we're going to do class first politics, we're going to do class first politics. In the absence of the Democrats doing that, people still realize that this shit is not working. Okay? That's it. There's a reason why he has to turn around and say, affordability is a hoax. It's a hoax. It's a Democrat hoax. Sometimes Senator Graham just puts it out in the plainest language.
The wars of the future are being planned here in Israel, because if you're not one step ahead of the enemy, you suffer. The most clever, creative military forces on the planet are here in Israel, because they have to be to survive. So what we're looking at is that Israel is advancing down the road of new weaponry far beyond us, and it would be nice to have a process where we could be partners. The war.
Yeah. Israel. The more your uptight, humorless part of chat cries about the soundboards, the more I just want you to let it rip. I know. It actually, I think, is a perfect filter for a lot of the fucking uptight, like, laughter is bourgeois decadence ass people, laughter is counter-revolutionary ass people. I kind of like it a lot. To them, I say, shut up, bitch. You know? It actually, I think, look, I've talked about this already. It is important for someone like myself to make this as lighthearted as possible, even though the news is awful. And I need to make it more approachable. I need to make it more palatable. And I think a soundbite, like a soundboard, makes it funnier. Like, I'm entertaining myself, you know? No more Epstein files to be released, according to the DOJ.
Partisan backlash, the Department of Justice sending a letter to Congress defending its handling of the release of more than 3 million pages of files tied to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. In a letter it was legally required to send, the DOJ listing more than 300 high-profile names that appear in the files. It includes some people who've been dead for decades and is not evidence of any wrongdoing. Some have no known association with Epstein, like Elvis. And the DOJ arguing the millions of pages the department withheld and the heavy redactions in the records it released were to comply with privacy protections in the law, writing no records were withheld or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. Some lawmakers not buying it.
This was a massive cover-up being led by the White House and the DOJ.
Even several Republicans arguing the DOJ did withhold files or redact information the new Epstein Files Transparency Act explicitly says must be made public. Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace writing the excuses provided for not releasing all the files will not hold up in a court of law. This isn't going away until people go to jail.
40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
And lawmakers directly criticizing the Attorney General, saying she ducked questions last week on why the names of some high-profile men were blacked out in the files while some victims' identities were revealed.
She wasn't confident enough to engage in anything but name-calling in a hearing. And so, no, I don't have confidence in her.
Meantime, in Hollywood, high-profile sports and talent agent Casey Wasserman announced he's now selling his agency after the DOJ files revealed he exchanged emails with Epstein's now-convicted co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell in 2003, years before Epstein first pleaded guilty to sex crimes. In an email to his staff, Wasserman said he had, quote, limited interactions with Epstein and Maxwell, but said he now believes he's become a distraction to the company's work. And he said he's devoting his full attention to his other role as chairman of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games. Michael.
All right, Jay, the fallout seems to be far from over. Thank you so much for that.
And now to the growing fallout from the Epstein files and how they've been handled by the Trump administration. While little action has been taken to investigate the files in this country, the files have prompted new investigations in several other countries. Attorney General Pam Bondi claims all relevant files have been released, but her Justice Department has been accused of redacting the names of potential co-conspirators. In Europe, the former Prince Andrew is under growing pressure, but he is not the only public figure facing scrutiny these days. Lee Canary has the story.
Jeffrey Epstein. An international domino effect.
Investigations are now underway in at least 10 countries.
From Europe, where the former...
Bro, could you call it a domino effect if the first piece doesn't fall? First piece being America, and then all of the other subsequent pieces fall elsewhere? Because low-key, it is a domino effect, except nothing happened in America. Even fucking Peter Attia. Even Peter Attia, who is like super low level, just a random fucking sham, self-help guru guy, is being protected by Barry Weiss over at CBS, and is not being fired. Like, not even the lowest level pedophile affiliates are getting punished. It's fucking crazy. Yet, I don't think there's any punishments coming, chatter. I'm going to keep it a $1.50 with you. It makes me feel like this country is dominated by the pedophilic cabal, and they actually like that everyone is a pedophile. That's what it makes me feel like, okay? Because, goddamn, it is fucking crazy. Like, not even like a little bit of scrutiny. No friends are just, rolling up at dinner being like, yo, you were a pedophile? That's crazy, man. What the fuck were you doing with the international pedophilic cabal, brother? Not even a little bit. Side note, Pam Bondi's atrocious performance last week will lead to her firing. I'm calling it the one thing Trump hates more than insubordination is undeniable unpopularity. She's becoming a brand risk. I agree. I said that last week.
Former Prime Minister of Norway is charged with gross corruption, which he denies. To the Emirates, where the CEO of one of the globe's largest companies has stepped down after the files released displayed communications with Epstein, including an email with a reference to, quote, torture video. He has not been charged with any crime. In the UK, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor faces new calls to be investigated for allegedly leaking state secrets. And in Hollywood, top marketing exec Casey Wasserman is selling his talent agency. He's not accused of a crime, but said he regrets flirtatious emails he sent to Ghislaine Maxwell that had become a distraction.
Once again, I mean, Casey Wasserman was more deeply embedded with the Epsteins than just trying to fuck Ghislaine Maxwell, for the record. Like, he's been photographed with them over and over again, which is why it's so crazy that, like, they're presenting this retreat. They're presenting this retreat as a guy who was just too horny and he wanted to fuck Ghislaine Maxwell. That's not the case. People don't realize that, like, that's not. People don't realize that Casey Wasserman is far, far more embedded with the Epsteins than just trying to fuck Ghislaine, even though that is obviously crazy. You're criminally horny, brother. I mean, Jesus Christ. He was not too horny. No, he was trying to fuck Ghislaine, which is crazy. But a lot of people don't realize that this is, I think, is a distraction. Like, he's trying to present it as like, oh, I'm pulling out of like I'm pulling out of the public eye because everybody caught me being, pathetically horny trying to have sex with Ghislaine Maxwell, when in fact, he's far, far more embedded with the Epstein folk than just trying to fuck Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm just saying. I want my scalps Bondi first. Respectfully, she kind of bad. Oh my God, Chatter. Jail for you, dude. Chatter, that is fucking crazy, brother.
Shut up, bitch.
Oh my God.
Epstein spun himself a web of global elites, many of them named this weekend by the Department of Justice. 300 high-profile people that appear at least once in Epstein's emails. Some in direct contact with him, others just mentioned in news articles. Criminality is not implied. But Juliette Bryant said when she met Epstein in South Africa, surrounded by powerful people, it made her feel safe.
A girl approached me and said she was here at the King of America. He was here with Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker.
Bryant did not accuse the other men of wrongdoing, but said Epstein flew her to New York and then put her on a private jet.
Yeah, I know. I said CBS retained Atia, which is crazy. CBS is covering the Epstein files. CBS is covering the Epstein files. Meanwhile, Barry Weiss, the editor-in-chief, has retained Peter Attia and is refusing to fire Peter Attia, who was directly involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Billionaire Tom Pritzker announced on Monday he was retiring as executive chairman of Hyatt Hotels after his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, we got one scalp. We got one. I'll take it. By the way, Tom Pritzker is a whole ass freak, bro. I'm not even gonna do the fall for that. Like, if you look at what some of the correspondence looked like between him and Jeffrey Epstein, he was like talking about potentially doing some really fucking weird shit in Afghanistan as a part of his like birthday celebration. By the way, this is not even a punishment. He's just fucking. Yeah, it's not even really a punishment, honestly. He's just retiring. Like, he should, I'm not going to say anything else or whatever. He should receive criminal punishment, a criminal investigation, and then possibly go to fucking jail. Let's be real. Another pedo elite, pro-Trump billionaire Mark Rowan, who the president appointed to the Board of Peace tasked with reconstructing Gaza, maintained close connections with child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, newly released documents show. Yes. There is a likelihood that he was either hunting or raping young boys in the mountains of Korengal, the Korengal Valley. Not even a fucking joke. Like, a lot of this stuff, for Tom Pritzker, I mean, a lot of this stuff is crazy. Also, Tom Barack, and we know that already. Ambassador and Trump confidant Tom Barack kept in regular contact with Jeffrey Epstein for years, documents show. And Tom Barack is famous for saying the quiet part out loud over and over again. He's like, why the fuck would the Hezbollah disarm themselves? We're just going to dominate them and we're going to take over Lebanon, you know? Which, by the way, isn't a defense of Hezbollah. Like, he wasn't making a defense of Hezbollah. He was just saying, like, there's nothing you can do about it. Israel's going to take over your territory, whether you like it or not.
Airplane took off. He started touching me forcibly in between my legs, and I freaked out. I realized this is not a modeling opportunity. I've been kidnapped.
Bryant received damages from Epstein's estate.
In the last few weeks, Juliette, we've seen people like royals, prime ministers, people in positions of power face real consequences. How do you feel about?
Yeah, Tom Barack said, Jeffrey Epstein and Tom Barack said, send picture of child, make me smile. Also, yes, the Tom Pritzker is JB Pritzker's cousin, I think, right? Yes, JB Pritzker is a billionaire. They own the Hyatt Regency hotel chain. They're a billionaire family. Did you guys forget? Yeah, they're billionaires. They're rich people. Hello?
About that.
Well, I think it's amazing that they're all being exposed, but I just would like to see them all held accountable.
The pursuit of accountability continues. The House Oversight Committee will depose Ohio billionaire Les Wexner next week. The FBI labeled him as a co-conspirator in a 2019 internal document. Now, Wexner and all the men we mentioned deny criminal accusations.
Billions of pages of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, providing more information on the convicted sex offender's crimes. Among the files, claims bodies are buried near Epstein's Zorro Ranch in Santa Fe County. Tonight, the state land commissioner demanding an investigation.
Yeah, the guy who purchased this property is Steve Bannon affiliate, Donald Trump affiliate, for the record. Just something interesting to think about. The super wealthy guy who purchased the property is not cooperating with the police, as far as I understand as well, in terms of opening up a new investigation and potentially digging up the property to see if there are bodies there. Zorro Ranch in New Mexico is the ranch that the Clintons had also visited. It's the eugenics ranch that he had. This is most likely the base of operations for Epstein's breeding facility. Oh, he is now?
I'm going to keep asking questions and keep poking around until I get an answer.
Those coming from an anonymous email in 2019 addressed to a local radio host.
Aaliyah Chavez spoke with him and has the details of that email.
Yeah, Doug, Shelley, we're also hearing tonight from the Attorney General's office, who says it takes these allegations seriously, but needs more information to do something about it. Eddie Aragon says it was early in the morning in November 2019 when he got this email from someone claiming they were a former staffer at Zorro Ranch, writing, "Did you know somewhere in the hills outside of the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G. Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex."
I got the email. I was startled.
The emailer says they had 7 sex videos, including some with minors, but never actually sent the footage, asking Aragon for digital currency Bitcoin.
Approximately at that time, Bitcoin was worth about $8,000. They wanted in exchange 1 Bitcoin for the videos that they had in possession.
Aragon says he didn't know what to do with the email, so he sent it to the FBI.
I've since referred to the FBI on a number of other things, and I've never heard back from them on anything.
Fast forward 6 years later, the DOJ released Aragon's email as part of the Epstein files.
Matters. I think that New Mexicans need answers. I think the victims need answers.
That's what prompted New Mexico Public Lands Commissioner Stephanie Garcia Richard to send this letter to the Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney's Office Tuesday, asking them to thoroughly investigate this disturbing allegation regarding the referenced burials.
We need to get to the bottom of really what happened in New Mexico.
She says she was horrified to learn in 2019 that our state was still leasing lands around Zorro Ranch to Epstein's company.
I canceled the leases at that time.
A month after Epstein killed himself in jail, the land around the mansion totals around 1,200
Cap killed himself in jail, sure.
acres and hasn't been leased out since.
We're thinking to possibly turn it into a memorial to honor the victims, or as some kind of wildlife sanctuary, perhaps. So that's what we're thinking for that land.
Attorney General Raul Torres' office responding to Garcia Richard hours later with this letter. As we understand it, the allegations appear to be unsubstantiated, it says, going on to say they will work to obtain the original files. Once such information is obtained, our office will review it to determine whether any further action is warranted, and if so, the appropriate next steps.
To my knowledge, no investigation has taken place thus far. It doesn't sound like anything is going to be taking place very soon.
The commissioner says she's ready to offer all state land for investigation, but can't do anything about the ranch since it's privately owned, bought by new owners and renamed. Aaliyah Chavez, KUAT Action 7 News.
We asked the U.S. Attorney for a comment. They referred us to the FBI, which declined comment.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
I'm not watching this shit. I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck about what Joe Rogan has to say about all of the Luciferian conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Anyway, Breaking, U.S. Department of Homeland Security requests Google, Reddit, Instagram, and Facebook to provide names, phone numbers, and other identifying information of users who criticize ICE. We're not gonna make it, bros. I think it's over for us. I'll just turn on that music for everybody. It's over. You're along for the ride, I guess. Hey, ICE can suck my dick. Fuck ICE. Fuck the president. Donald Trump can suck my cock. Fuck the Department of Homeland Security. ICE is Gestapo. Bovine Bovino is 5'3", not even, like 4'11" maybe on a good day. A fun community meme about the Soundboard. What is this? When a sound found this meme Soundboard website.
Research is a very. Why are you still putting? Don't stop pushing sound effects. I want to. Which one is that one?
This one.
It's a laser beam.
Yeah.
I like that one.
You like that one?
Yeah, I'm gonna pepper that one in.